Now we have a situation. We have that frame right there that we built from scratch for our 1954 International Chassis Swap, but we need this rear end to go onto that frame. It's currently connected to the old frame, so we have to do some zoom, hacking and slashing, get this sucker out of here, and get this frame rail out of here. So let's separate that bad boy from this bad boy and put it on that bad boy. Welcome to High Hill Stable Garage. Alright, couple things. This guy, not held on by bolts at all, held on by these industrial rivets. So what I'm going to end up doing is basically grinding the head off of them. That's the best way. If I had an air hammer, at least if I had shop air here, I don't got it set up yet. But if you had an air hammer, you could just cut the head off and or cut a X. All we're going to do, we're going to shave the head down with the angle grinder. It's going to be a long process, but then we can just bang them out. Do one side at a time, and then keep on keeping on. Alright, that's going to take forever. So new plan, we're going to try to unbolt our springs from the shackles because, you know, we're likely going to end up making our own shackles anyway. So let's go ahead and try that out. This is kind of what we got going on. Cleaned up just a tiny bit, but we got the leaf springs off. We blew those guys right off, and now we have basically the whole solid rear axle. All of our parts are down there, U-bolts are there. So what we're gonna do, basically, I have my spring here. Let me lift that up. We're just gonna see roughly where things land. We're gonna go with a basic design of basically the shackle will bolt here at the bottom. Or sorry, the hanger will bolt here at the bottom, bolt there, shackle will ride up top, and then that one, it'll go right to the side. We're gonna have the hangers bolt onto the side. We'll likely just do a few tacks for now, but they'll go off to the side. We still gotta make those. And then, as for our perches, we have to move the angle and everything anyway because of the lower end. So we're going to take the entire axle down to the other shop, and I'm going to plasma off the leaf spring perches and our shock mounts. Basically blank canvas, and we'll clean up the entire axle. We'll also clean up the springs while we're down there and make a rough draft of our hangers. There and there, and there and there. So, let me load all that stuff up in the truck. Gotta grunt at it. Alright, now we just gotta lift the wheel.
Here, yeah. You gotta get just 1 second.
Okay, great. Smart, man. Wouldn't have put the spring in there. But I'm not. I would never do being a smart man.
Oh, kill me, Stoner. Tell me why.
Alright, back it up. Okay, there we go. Good stuff. Alright, lift. Shove! Lift and shove. Lift and shove. Lift and shove. We're going to start needle scaling this entire rear diff. It's all scaly, but there should be plenty of meat there, and we shouldn't have to worry about anything. So I'm going to go get some earplugs, put some eyewear on, and I'm going to scale this up. So give me a minute. here, I kind of mapped out what we're going to be doing for our rear hangers. The middle part of the shackle is 3 1/8 wide. We're going to go 2.5 inch up on both, and then we have a 3-inch bend. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to cut this off, and we're going to bend it all up in one piece up there, and then we'll divide it up after it's bent. I think that's the better course of action to go with. So this is what I'm talking about here. We're doing the rear section, both rear sections right now. Basically just a little C-bend. And this right here measures out 3 1/8. And then basically we're going from the bend up 2.5 on both sides. And then on the inside, it's gonna kind of curl in just a tiny, tiny bit. I'll show you in just a second. It's gonna make a lot of sense in just a couple minutes. So now, you might be wondering, why do we have so many parts? What are they for? You'll see. So we have 4 of these plates right here, and we have 2 of these plates right here. This was the double one, but it's been plowed out. So basically, rough draft, rough idea, this, oh, that's a little hot. This right here is the main shackle. We're gonna have 2 holes, one there and one there, go through on both sides. That's going to allow us basically to move our shackle back or forward if we want. It gives us a little bit of adjustability. But this is plenty strong, but for our purposes, especially if we're going to be towing and beating on the truck and a whole bunch of stuff, I want the super strong. So these plates right here will slide over the corners and we'll weld them on. Just like that. So basically now we'll have the strength this way, and it has tons of strength that way. Plus, it gives us a flat area that we can weld directly to our frame. We'll be welding right at the top and welding right on the back of this. And that is going to hold our shackle onto our frame. Simple as that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set these up, tack them on, make sure they're square, finish weld this section. So again, basically have 2 of these like that. Finish weld these guys, and then after that, we'll take it over to the drill press and I'll drill the holes out on it. There you go, guys. That's basically the general idea of what we're using for our hanger. We got a little bit of extra edges here and there that we have to basically grind off after we're done. That, once it's all seam welded, will give us so much strength, it'll be crazy. Because this will be seam welded to the frame, same as the top piece. And then we have dual adjustment points here and here, so we can basically put this guy anywhere on that. Basically, this guy can either slide there, or this won't be able to move, but I'll move this just for example purposes. It could be attached there. That will change our angle here. And then on the front, we're basically going to have 2 or 3 adjustment points up and down. We'll put it in the center, but we'll have 1 and down. And that will allow us to basically move our pinion angle on the fly. So, I'm going to weld this guy up. I'm going to set that one up, weld him, and I'll come back when these guys are finished welding. So that's the two shackles in all their glory, just like that. I have to go through and basically level out the extra steel that's on that side, because you can see that one's kind of tilted, but that just needs a little bit of steel taken off there. Basically square them all up, that way when we install them, there's no headaches. So I'm going to do that off camera because it's a lot of grinding, but I'll bring you guys back when they're their finished product. Well, there you go. I got them both basically leveled out to each other, because that's what we're worried about. We're worried about spacing basically off the frame. So that's what we're dealing with right now. But they're pretty much exact. Not a lot of wobble in both ones. We're welding them on, so no real problems there if it's off by a 1/16, whatever. So those are pretty much done now. So you'll be able to get your bolts through here, and then your nut will be there. You can put a wrench up through there. You'll have tons of access to get at the spring. And if I take this guy, again, oh no, that's kind of what we're dealing with. Just like that. Just like that. We can move it to either one, so we can adjust our pinion angle on that. So now we got to start working on the front ones that come down. Basically, we need to make sure that we have the same spacing off this. So whatever that is, that's where our front frame one has to be, and it's going to be inverted, basically the other way, kind of like that, to tell you the honest truth. So that's the plan. Let's get to work. So there you go, guys. These are all seam welded up now. Again, this is the general concept. It'll go on the truck like that, and if I want to bring my spring down, I can go to the next hole. Look how much that brings that down. So the pinion will actually drop, you know, 3 or 4 degrees. I don't know what it exactly is yet. We'll have to measure it out. But we'll set the pinion basically to the top one. That's where we'll have our normal drive-in, and then if we really want it to hook at the track, we can bring it down 1 extra. A little bit of ingenuity thought into this, but really simple stuff, guys. All right, so now that we have our diff done and we have all of our shackles done enough, we still have to do a little bit of finish grinding and stuff on them. We're gonna go down to the shop now, the barn, I should say, and try to bring all this stuff together. So let's get down there. Alrighty, so jumped ahead a few days here, but we're back in the barn. I got all the pieces back in here, and we actually have one of the leaf springs up on top of our side rail of our back half of our frame rail section. I did this section off camera because there was a lot of welding and, you know, initial like plumb bobbage, that kind of stuff. But now I have some measurements that we can go off of, so I'm going to take you guys with me on that side, and we're going to basically bring our spring onto that, and then from there we can stab our rear end in. So let's get to work. So just so we're clear, not the finished product, we still have to basically add double weld underneath, and on this side we still got to weld on the inside, put our cap piece, and then 2 little side pieces, just, you know, add a little bit of rigidity to the whole entire structure. But we need the leaf springs drooped so then we can actually put our axle in. So this is kind of what we got going on. I got it welded to the frame, welded to the frame. And basically what we're going to do, we're going to do that on that side. But while we're here, I'll show you. We have our adjustments up and down. We have our adjustments front and back. So basically, even when it's in, we can kind of move this axle around a little bit for different scenarios on what we're doing. So without further ado, let's start working on that side. So I already set up a line here preemptively for this. This is basically the frontmost part of this bracket right here, just like so. It lines up with that line. It's 15 inches and 5/16 off the tail end of this hole right there. That lines up perfectly with our one on that side. So what I'm going to do, square it up with this guy. This is my little speed square. Doesn't have to be super fancy because, again, we're running leaf springs, so the bushings take up a little bit of slop there. Our final adjustment is actually drooping the axle inside, but you always want to get as close as you can. So we're going to take that guy. I'm just going to tack him in real quick. Make sure it's all squared, level, all that stuff. And then I'll bring you guys back when we're doing this little hanger right here. Alright, so I got this guy all laid up there. It's basically pretty straightforward. I came in here, made sure that this exact bit to this was the exact same, because, you know, the length didn't really matter at the time, but it's the exact same length sticking out on both sides, so that's okay. And then I came over here and I had a 1/4 inch in. As you can see, there's a little bit of a ledge. It's 1/4 inch going inside. So all what I did is I took my square right here, laid it across, scribed my line for 1/4 inch in on this side, then took my level, then I took my square, used the straight edge on top, and aligned it because these two tops were the exact same on both sides when I built them. So basically leveled that out, then I checked my square here, tacked it up, checked here, we're a 1/4 inch in. So now what I can do is simply start seam welding this guy in. Get it all strong, then we can drape our other leaf spring in, make sure it's all okay. Then we can start fiddling around with that guy. So let me weld that guy in. We got both leaf springs hung on our new back half of the frame. Looking real good. Let me kind of hop on this one there, put some weight on it. You can see the shackle and all that stuff moves. Kind of put some weight on it going up. Same thing. Now, these bolts are seized inside this shackle because it's a used shackle. It kind of needs new bushings. We'll get to that some other time. See, you can kind of hear that squeak. But either way, it's all one piece. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pull those two bolts out, droop my suspension back down, and then we're going to roll this rear end up underneath, and then we can put our springs back on. Then hopefully the rear end should be able to stay in there as we kind of put our perches on and all that stuff. So let me do that. I got a little bit of cleaning to do here, but then we can roll this whole rear end under the truck. So good stuff. There we go. We basically have the axle resting on the springs. So it's basically the suspension is taking the weight of the axle now, which is exactly what we wanted. So that's that's a-okay. That's awesome. So the next piece of the pie that we're going to have to tackle on this truck is going to be basically setting our pinion angle, and that will let us get our perches all set up. That's also when we can kind of add our strengthening bits, our double welds and all that stuff to our main hangers. Maybe a cross member for the front ones that goes across. But that's going to have to wait for a different video because this one's getting a little long. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and we'll see you really, really soon on this 1954 International Chassis Swap. All right.
See ya.